The Marshall Islands, an idyllic Pacific paradise, bear the name of a British explorer, but their story is far older and richer than any map suggests. Scattered between Hawaii and Australia, these atolls form the Ratak sunrise and Relique sunset chains, with Majuro as their vibrant capital. The name Marshall Islands hints at centuries of navigation, trade and colonialism connecting these remote shores to global history. But to truly understand the islands, we must look beyond the name and discover the resilient culture of the Marshallese people. Master navigators with a deep connection to the sea. Their story is one of adaptation and endurance, thriving in harmony with the ocean for millennia. In this video, we'll trace the origins of the Marshallese, the arrival of Europeans, and the journey through colonial rule to independence. Let's uncover how a Pacific nation kept its soul, even as it carried a foreign name. Long before Europeans arrived, the Marshall Islands were home to a thriving civilization of Micronesian navigators. Settled around 2,000 years ago by seafarers from Southeast Asia, these islands demanded ingenuity and adaptation. The Marshallese mastered life on coral atolls, cultivating breadfruit, taro and pandanus and fishing the rich lagoons. Society was organized into clans led by Irwaj, chiefs, ensuring knowledge and tradition passed through generations. Their most remarkable achievement, a unique navigation system using stick charts, meadow and matang, that mapped ocean swells, not land. Navigators read the sea by feel, guiding canoes across vast distances with astonishing accuracy. The outrigger canoe, or walap, remains a symbol of their enduring bond with the ocean. These traditions, stories and skills form the bedrock of Marshallese identity. Before outsiders arrived, the Marshallese had already built a world uniquely their own. Their legacy is the true origin of the nation. The 16th century brought the first fleeting European encounters as Spanish explorers crossed the Pacific in search of trade routes. In 1526, Alonso de Salazar sighted an atoll, and Álvaro de Saavedra Cerón landed in 1529, naming it Los Pintados for the islanders' tattoos. The Spanish never established settlements, seeing little strategic value, but claimed the islands as part of their vast East Indies. For centuries, the Marshallese lived much as before, with only sporadic contact and little interference. Spanish names rarely stuck, and the islands remained largely self-governed. Yet, these early encounters placed the Marshall Islands on the map of European imperial ambitions. The distant Spanish claim set the stage for more direct colonial interests in the centuries to come. The island's fate would soon be shaped by new powers seeking control of the Pacific. The name Marshall Islands traces back to 1788, when British Captain John Marshall charted the atolls while sailing from Australia to China. Alongside Captain Thomas Gilbert, Marshall mapped the double chain of islands, engaging with locals and documenting their features. Their work was invaluable to British navigation and commerce. Later, English cartographer Alexander George Findlay named the eastern chain the Gilbert Islands, now Kiribati, and the western chain, the Marshall Islands, honoring the captain's efforts. The name was a product of European map-making, not conquest. For Marshall, these islands were a waypoint. He never imagined his name would define a nation. This act of naming marked Britain's growing influence in the Pacific, overtaking Spain's distant claims. The islands' identity, however, remained rooted in their own culture. The 19th century saw the Marshall Islands shift from distant Spanish claims to direct German rule. German traders, especially the Jesuit Company, established lucrative copra trading posts, and in 1885, Germany formally purchased the islands from Spain. Administered as part of German New Guinea, the island's chiefs retained some authority, but autonomy faded as colonial interests grew. World War I brought another change. Japan seized the islands in 1914, later formalized by the League of Nations as a South Seas mandate. Japanese rule was more intensive. Administrative centers moved, infrastructure expanded, and cultural assimilation began. By the 1930s, Japan secretly fortified the atolls, preparing for conflict. The Marshallese endured rapid shifts in power, each leaving its mark on their society. The islands became a pawn in global rivalries, their fate tied to distant empires. The stage was set for the next, most turbulent chapter. Japanese fortifications turned the Marshall Islands into a World War II battleground. Atolls like Kwajalein and Majuro became military strongholds, with thousands of Japanese troops stationed there. In 1944, the US launched Operation Flintlock, capturing Kwajalein in a brutal battle and quickly seizing Majuro. The fighting devastated the islands and traumatized the Marshallese, many of whom were displaced or caught in the crossfire. US forces transformed Majuro into a major naval base, cementing the island's strategic value. The war shattered colonial structures and left the Marshallese under new American administration. The scars of conflict lingered as the island's future was again decided by foreign powers. The American flag replaced those of Germany and Japan, ushering in a new era. The Marshallese faced yet another chapter of outside control. But the seeds of self-determination had been planted. After World War II, the Marshall Islands became a US-administered trust territory with promises of self-government. The US provided infrastructure and services, but also used the atolls for nuclear testing, leaving lasting impacts. Marshallese aspirations for independence grew, leading to the formation of a constitutional government in 1979. In 1986, the Republic of the Marshall Islands entered a compact of free association with the US, gaining sovereignty while maintaining close ties. The compact granted independence, financial aid, and open migration, but kept US responsibility for defense. Today, the Marshall Islands is a proud Pacific nation, its people blending ancient heritage with modern realities. The name Marshall Islands remains a relic of colonial history, but it does not define the nation's spirit. The Marshallese have reclaimed their identity, navigating history's storms with resilience. They're a people of the ocean, their culture and spirit enduring through every era. If you enjoyed this story, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Which country's name should we explore next?